little bunnies. So today we are going to be doing a little before and after and talking through the process of me painting my desktop computer pink. So recently my dad and boyfriend helped me paint my desktop pink. The side panels on my desktop were already Galaxy, so we didn't paint over that, but the rest of it that was black, we went ahead and painted pink so that it would match the rest of my pink setup. And so I wanted to kind of let you guys see the process and see before and after, because I don't know, it was a really fun thing to do, and honestly, like, I love how it turned out. It makes me really happy. And also, I get so many questions on Instagram about my pink Nintendo Switch, and people are always asking me, first of all, they'll ask me how I got pink Joy-Cons, and then I'll let them know that my boyfriend painted them for me. So we painted the desktop using the same process, aside from taking apart the Joy-Cons. We used the exact same process, so if you're wanting to know how I painted my Switch, this video can help you, because I'll show you the exact products I used and show you basically what I did. So let's go ahead and get into that. Okay, so the first thing I did, I'm not as skilled with computers and technology as my boyfriend, so, and since we're long distance, he couldn't really come and visit and paint my computer for me, so my dad was gonna help me spray paint it. However, there's the issue of taking apart the computer. So what we ended up deciding that I would cover any part that we're not painting completely up, pretty much, and cover up any vents and crevices that I could. And we decided not to take the computer apart because we figured it might be more risky for me to take it apart not knowing what I'm doing versus just strategically painting it while it's still put together. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I would recommend, if you can, get someone to help you, because also, like with the Joy-Cons, I personally wouldn't paint them myself because I don't know how to take them apart. I don't trust myself. They would probably break. There are YouTube videos on how to take Joy-Cons apart. That's what my boyfriend did, but he's got some experience in this area and I trust him. But seeing as it's the desktop, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. I know how to take the panels off because I've had to fix a couple things inside with his help, but I don't know how to just take the whole thing apart. And you know, with computers, you want to use like static-free gloves and fancy things. So what we did, you'll see in the video, I took the panels off and I taped all around the panel, kind of folding it, like here's the panel and here's the tape. So I did that so that no paint would leak inside and so that the panels would be completely protected, because I didn't want to mess up our Galaxy design. And then what I did is I covered any parts on the front panel that have vents and whatnot with tape because we don't want any paint getting inside. And then I covered everything that I could that wasn't being painted pretty much with cardboard. Because the whole panels needed to be covered so that they didn't get painted. And I used so much tape because I wanted to be really careful. I didn't want my desktop to stop working, obviously. And also, I really didn't want the paint to go where I didn't want it to, basically. I didn't want my Galaxy panels to get messed up. But basically, after taping everything, I sanded it down. So I bought some sandpaper off of Amazon. It was pretty cheap. And I sanded down the whole surface, and mostly areas that are glossy to begin with, but I sanded down everywhere so that the paint has something to stick to. And then what we did is, first we used, and all the spray paint I use is from this brand, Tamiya Color. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but here's what it looks like. And I'm gonna give you the exact colors, but the first thing we used is we used this fine surface primer in white because it was black and we wanted to go ahead and give a white base for the pink to show up better and just to have it, you know, hopefully stick better with the primer. So here's what that looks like. Fine surface primer in white, and it's for plastic and metal, and it's from the same brand. I know it doesn't have the name right on it, but yeah. So I got that off of Amazon, and yeah, I don't think this has like a specific number. I didn't see a specific number when I bought it, but if I go back and find that it did have a specific number, I'll insert it here. But yeah, so that's what that looks like. But the colors I use, the pink I use has a specific number, and I'll give you that. So we did the surface primer first, we did the white, we did just a couple light coats of it, you know, do a coat, let it dry, and it's best to spray paint outside, of course, and we spray painted over the grass, not any concrete or anything that could get stained, because grass, you can always cut it, and that's fine. And I actually cut up my PlayStation 4 box to cover the desktop, and then I cut up the desktop box to have as a background cardboard for spray painting, because it's best to spray paint over cardboard. And so after the white primer, we did the infamous pink, and this is TS25. That's the exact pink I used for my Switch and for my desktop, so they match exactly. So if you're wanting something like that, this is the exact color, TS25. So yeah, and I had 2 of these. We used a whole one of them and then part of this second one. I only had one of these because it's a bigger one. So, and I still have plenty of the primer. So you only need one of those. I'd say if it's a small one of these, get 2 of them, because I did use some of the second one as well. So we did some coats of pink, of course, letting each coat dry in between and making sure that it was pretty opaque. You don't want any patchy spots or anything. And yeah, I think it came out really good. And I'm looking over here because my desktop's literally right here, in case you're wondering. And then finally, we did a matte top coat because I personally wanted it to be matte, just like my Switch. And this is what the top coat looks like, and it is TS80 flat clear. So, same brand for all of them. Here is all 3 of them together. And again, I got 2 of these and used a whole one and a little bit of, I don't know if I used any of the second one on this, but I might have used a little bit. I got 2 just in case, it's probably better too. So really all that I needed for this, aside from my desktop that I already have, I needed cardboard tape. I did have a box cutter, which is probably better if you have like an X-Acto knife for cutting tape and whatnot to put on there, but I used a box cutter because I didn't have one. And then I bought 1 of the primer and then 2 each of the paint and the matte top coat. And you don't have to buy a matte top coat, you could get glossy or, you know, whatever you want to do. So there is that. So yeah, and of course I bought some sanding paper too off of Amazon. But that is how we painted my desktop, and that's also the process for the Switch aside from taking apart Joy-Cons, which I'm sorry I can't really help you there, but there are some good YouTube videos on that if you're willing to play around with that. I'm just a little scared myself, honestly. And I will say too, my boyfriend, so I tried to let at least 20 minutes go, 20 to 40 minutes between each coat on the desktop. My boyfriend, when he did the Switch, he did like a day probably in between the base, the pink, and then the top coat, because he wanted to make sure it came out really good, really give it time in between, because the Switch is a bit different. The desktop I'm not going to be touching all the time and my hand oils, but the Switch, the paint does need to be a bit more durable. Yet I do have these protective cases still, because I do not, Animal Crossing, I do have these protective cases on my Joy-Cons because I don't want my paint job to start rubbing off. So that is a risk that you run if you don't have someone else paint them professionally. So I will say that's a risk you run, because as you can see here, like right in there, I don't know if you're able to tell, but it's coming off just a little in there, and then I have a little bit of wear here, just because that's where my hands are, touching. But aside from that, like, I haven't really had any issues this time. If you were wondering, previously my Switch is painted completely different colors, and the paint did come off like a majority of the paint came off within a year or so, because my boyfriend said he didn't know as much about painting then, and the paint layers were not correct. So this is a lot more durable, and it's only really coming off where I touch it a whole lot, and it's been a lot more durable, especially because I do have the protective cases. So I would say if it's something like that where you're touching it all the time, you'd probably want to get it professionally done, or get protective cases like the Joy-Cons. I know there are brands like Colorware that do professional painting, though they are a bit pricey. I'm sure there are also plenty of Etsy sellers, etc., that people who make custom controllers. Or you can always get a skin. I got a skin for my PlayStation from Sticky Bunny Co., and I really like it. I would say, again, maybe get protective casing if it's on the Switch, just because of the curves and the skin could maybe peel. But yeah, I don't know. But that's just some of my tips that I've learned so far. Oh, and also the sticker that I put on the front is from Sarah Day Arts, and I'm going to link her as well and put her profile up here. She has some really cool art, and I actually got this sticker in a giveaway recently, and when I saw that it was about space and it was super cute and everything, I was like, this has to go on my desktop once I paint it. And also, just in case we have anyone wondering, the part where I put it, that's not a vent. It's a texture. Trust me, it's just a texture there. That's not a vent. I know not to put a sticker on a vent. That's not so good for it. So, I'd say if you want to do a big project like this, have someone who really knows about computers help you with this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest tip. I got my dad to help me spray paint it because I didn't know a whole lot about spray painting, and I was afraid I'd mess it up. And I ended up doing the top coat and some of the pink as well after I was taught and he showed me how to do it. So again, I'd say have people help you if you can, and just be careful. It's a pretty big project, especially, I mean, I'd say with the Switch or the desktop, because they're both things that, you know, can be pretty expensive to replace. So but yeah, overall I am so happy with how it came out. I feel like my setup just looks so much more complete because I have the pink PlayStation, the pink keyboard, mouse, headphones, Switch, and then I would have my black computer. So I'm just, oh, it looks so good all together now, and I'm really happy with it. But I hope these tips helped you guys, and yeah, if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer as best as I can, or I'll get my boyfriend to give me some advice to give to you guys. So yeah, but anyways, if you like this video, please hop on that like button and be sure to subscribe to join our little bunny fluffle. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Bye!